Welcome to the Authenticos podcast, the show that covers everything related to delivering digital transformation in large organizations. Your hosts, Jacob and Jesper, will share their own stories and unfiltered views as they guide you through delivery of digital transformation.
Well, here we are again.
Back for an episode around a topic that's close to your mind, to your heart, and my heart as well.
Yeah, and it's rather personal as well, because it's around. We want to discuss around personal burnout.
Which I mean, obviously you experienced it, I've experienced it, and I guess probably multiple times.
Yes, and I would say it goes beyond you and me, because a lot of colleagues have had the same experience.
Absolutely.
Once or twice, even 3 times during their work life.
Yeah, and it's I think it's unfortunately it's a very normal thing in the industry of working with transformation projects. People being under such high pressure at some point. Or inevitably, actually, people just burn out. I've definitely seen some really bad cases there. Tried it on myself as well.
Yeah.
And I know you had, quite a bad period as well when it came to burnout.
Yeah, I did, and I will go into that, during this podcast, but also what it has taught me about, what signs to look for.
Yeah.
Both in myself, but also if you work with, a team where you can see, okay, here's some signals of a person who might need some help.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from from my personal burnouts, I would say.
Yeah. So is it the fact that you've actually tried to burn out that then makes you better today at identifying that in other people?
Yes, because I think that goes with most things in life. The school of life.
Exactly.
Life shows you these things, and you're pushed to your, often to your limit. In my case, the personal burnout happened. The first time was in my early 30s. I just established my company as an independent ERP advisor. I was very, very keen on getting, successful. Yeah. I came from.
You want to prove yourself. You get the recognition.
Yes.
Obviously.
So in my case, what happened was that I took in too many clients at the same time.
Yeah.
So I took in 3 projects, and in my case, I wanted to solve all of them with a high level of satisfaction. Unfortunately, it turned out, which often is the case, that project, let's call them A and B, they are much more demanding than expected.
Yeah.
So you end up, in my case, because I wanted to give the same level of service, I wanted to give the same level of advice to all 3. So I was really working day and night, and it reached that level where I was taking so many energy pills, energy drinks during the day just to, keep up with the pace.
Yeah.
At night, I couldn't sleep, so I started to take sleeping pills just to get 4 to 5 hours of, decent sleep.
So you end up in this almost constant cycle of having to use, some kind of medicine, just either to work or then to calm down again.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess that just takes a huge toll on your body.
I was, because I was, at the same time I wanted to do my physical sports. I wanted to do spinning. I wanted to go spinning 6 in the morning.
Yeah. You want to socialize as well?
I want to socialize as well.
Yeah.
So I was just in for 6 to 9 months. I was in this really, really high pace, period of my life. And one morning, I woke up, I went to the bathroom, and then I just collapsed. I fell into the wall.
Jesus.
And broke a couple of teeth. Was taken to hospital. And for me, that was, it just showed me that I needed to structure my life in a different way. So for me, it was a major wake up call. I had to call in sick. I couldn't do these programs for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I ended up handing over one of the projects to a colleague.
Yeah.
So, and I started active recovery to get out of those bad habits of being dependent on energy drinks, sleeping medicine. So I did a total detox.
So did you do that straight after you had your collapse, or was there like a period after where you like?
For me, it was such a wake up call.
Yeah.
So I was like forced with almost like a gun to my head and said, okay, Jacob, we need to, this is a signal. This is your body sending a signal.
Yeah.
And it was like, of course I knew that this could happen, but I just thought, no, this cannot happen to me. I can still, it happens to other people, but not to myself.
Yeah.
So it just...
You kind of look at yourself as a machine before that, right? Like, of course I can just, just bring it on and I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
And I've read all these books about, the 5 a.m. club and sleep is for the weak and all these things about, management style, cut down on your sleep, increase productivity, all these things. And I really started to think put that aside, prioritize my sleep, prioritize doing breaks between projects.
Yeah.
That was important for me.
Especially as an independent advisor, because you can just continue going.
Yeah.
So
but also not selling yourself full time, because you need time as an independent to socialize. You need to look for new engagements.
Yeah.
You need to look for projects that coming up in 3, 4, 5 months. You also need to look for projects which you don't want to be associated with.
Yeah.
So I usually say, let's say you utilize yourself 80%, but you need that time. You need that time to do the networking and to do the breaks as well.
And I guess also going back to, I'm assuming that one of the reasons you started as a freelancer was because you wanted more freedom as well.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people find themselves in that they go independent or start a company because they want more freedom, but you then end up just taking way too much in. So you end up actually working yourself harder than almost if you had been in a larger organization.
That's true.
Because you want to shine and be excellent at what you do, and exactly as you said, you still have to find the work, keep your pipeline hot, socialize. So yeah, but leading up to your burnout, was there like any point where you were thinking this is not sustainable, or I'll stop when X, Y, Z is done, or were you just like, did you get like what's it called, not a blindfold, but the thing the horse has on its side?
I think I was just, I keep going back to, if you're going through difficult times, just keep going. It was like, all that, back to the military, if you're in a pile of mud, you just have to work yourself out of it, right?
Yeah, just one step, keep doing it. At some point, you should find yourself at the other end.
Yeah, and that was just what I was pushing for, because at that time I didn't want to, I wanted to live on all 3 projects, right? I wanted client C to have the same experience as client A and B. No, it was just my body saying, you reach your limit.
That's crazy.
Which was healthy, which is a healthy signal because, and I've seen it, that was one of my personal experience, but I've seen it on transformation programs where I had colleagues either going through the same.
Yeah.
I had a colleague who, went down with such a bad burnout that she never recovered from it again. Yeah. So it can actually have some really, really dramatic consequences. It taught me to set boundaries. It taught me to be more balanced, I would say.
Yeah.
In terms of my own capabilities, but also, as I said, to do active breaks between your and recover, because we are human beings. We need to recover.
And I guess A, the fact that you hit that wall, and B, that you see other people that hits the wall and maybe also gets, as you said, actually physically impacted, so they can't even go back to work, or that gives another respect once you've seen that and tried it.
Especially on transformation projects, recovery projects, those projects where you might come in at the end of the implementation to recover something which is failing. Those type of engagement, you really have to be super sharp on.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries and saying, okay, this is what you're helping with.
Yeah. But I think it's really, really hard if you don't have the experience, because there is the pressure, there is the expectation. It's like as you said, it's kind of a critical period. Well, all transformations are critical, also time-wise and delivery-wise. And I think it takes a few scars and to be able to say no.
Yeah.
Because you know the consequence if you don't.
Yeah. But now, I have, this period has taught me so many things about myself. I know myself so well now that if I'm not sleeping well for a couple of days, I know there's something, either in personal or privately, I need to adjust.
Yeah.
So this personal burnout experience has taught me many, many things.
Yeah.
But also to help others, as I said. I can come into an organization, I can see relatively quickly who is on the brink of having a personal burnout, but also to help people to be more open about it, because I think for a long time this has not been discussed.
There's a taboo just saying I'm about to burn out, or this is too much for me now, because that's almost like saying I'm failing at my job. I remember a project in Italy where the program manager, he was clearly overworked, and one day he was doing a presentation and he just collapsed on the floor with a nosebleed. And we had to kind of carry him into a separate office where he could just sleep, and then he got picked up by ambulance, went to the hospital.
Yeah.
2 hours later, he came back.
Yeah.
And he would have been back an hour later if it hadn't been because he had to buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Because his shirt was full of blood.
Yeah.
And that's, of course you burn out in an environment like that. It's just, it's crazy. I've burned out myself as well. Multiple times. I think that the worst time, which was as part of obviously delivering projects in my service company, DAG. We had got our first big client in, and we were kind of mid-project delivering, and actually because other team members on that project had burned out.
Yeah.
So that was some red flags there already.
Yeah.
I had to take on responsibility of those people because they ended up having to leave the project. So I was doing multiple full-time jobs.
You were covering multiple roles at the same time.
Exactly, at the same time as running a company. And then, the first sign was really that, not sign, it was me hitting the wall. So I had worked, I think, for a month, where I would basically work multiple days without sleeping, and then I would crash. And then multiple days without sleeping, and then crash. And I had to take a plane to London to do a presentation.
Right.
And because, I had to prepare for that presentation, which I did, but I hadn't slept for 3 days.
3 days, wow.
3 days.
3 days, 3 full days.
Yeah. So, and I had to take the plane in the morning, and then around midnight I was like, I just need 2 hours before I need to get up again. Put on my alarm, and I woke up 24 hours later with basically a friend of mine. He had a key to my apartment, so people thought I had died. So they had found a friend of mine who had a key to the apartment. He locked himself in, and he just found me on the couch in my home. So that should have been a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And it was. But the pressure of the project and the company didn't go away. So I kept trying to get out of it, couldn't.
Did you try to hand over some of the roles that you had taken over to some other people?
I did. So I tried to hire in new people to, let's say, a project manager who didn't run the project, so I could roll out.
Yeah.
Then the client didn't like the project manager, so I had to fire him, and then I was back in it.
Yeah.
And that
it's a very dangerous. It's a very dangerous.
dangerous.
It's a very dangerous way. Just the side comment also to independents and other consultants, whatever you are out there listening. Having those boundaries between the roles and not taking on too many roles at the same time. That is a signal, Lord, that's for failure.
Yeah, and that. So I think because of my feeling of responsibility to aid the people I was hired, the client, and the success of the company, I felt I just couldn't get out of it, even though I tried. But that was a feeling, that wasn't reality, because around October time last year, when you and we talked about moving to Athens now, my family called me and they said, yes, but you're not well now. Like, we can see it. You're and I just put my hand up and I said, yes, it's too much now. So I fired the client. A month later, flew over to the client, had a meeting with their managing director, and just kind of pulled out because they weren't living up to their responsibilities, so that allowing us to deliver and me getting out. And I just couldn't anymore. I would have died. I had a heart attack.
That's very, very strong.
It is.
That's very, very strong.
It is,
and it's very, very interesting and deep.
Yeah, and
experience.
And that after I fired them, I went on my kind of, I took quite a bit of time off. Went to Asia, traveled around a bit just to recover. And I think I can say now, a year later, so we just got out of October this year. This was October last year. That it's probably first now that my system, my brain, and everything else is 100% again.
Yeah.
Because one thing is recovering physically, the other thing is like mentally and everything else.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Especially sleep. It took me more than a year, almost 2 years to restore my my sleep rhythm, just to be natural, able to sleep without anything.
Yeah, and sleep is so important,
And I knew about it. I knew about it from the military. That sleep, we can go 4 days without sleep,
Yeah.
5 days, you really have mental
But
impact to it.
you are generally damaging your brain, and your whole nervous system.
Yes, and still today it's such an
Yeah.
underestimated, health
It is.
health thing to talk about, and we
It is. And,
for me, as I said, the 5 a.m. club, all those pace, all the Jacob, the sleep is for the weak, and
yeah, I've done all of that.
you can function on 3 hours of sleep, and just have to, My point is here that we all different. Some people might be able to, but most people might, they need like 7-8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, and I used to do the same, like with my team around me. If they went home at, let's say, 6, and there was still like something to be delivered, I'd be like, come on, just put in the effort, show you want to be here.
Yeah.
Today I wouldn't do that, or at least it would be a very, very rare occasion I would do it. It wouldn't be the rule.
Plus today we have, you can work 24/7. We have the tools for people to work, with the remote work, with the tools, digital tools. So setting boundaries and saying, okay, I'm not working this and this period. I'm available, is really, really key for anyone going into these programs.
Yeah. So what I've derived from my experience is, I think, the same as you, and the kind of the ridiculous thing of what I've kind of came to, that needs to be in place in my life to be able to cope with everything is a conclusion I had when I was 18 years old or 20 years old, which is number one, sleep. So today I sleep until I wake up, so I have a natural, I just wake up naturally, which means I'm ready for the day. And number two is exercise.
Yeah.
Had I talked to myself when I was 20 years old, that's exactly what I would have said I would want in my life. Room for that, and then I can cope with everything else, socially, work-wise.
Yeah.
But you lose that in the pressure and in the expectations of obviously wanting to perform. Just like you did.
You do, and it's very, very easy also for young professionals to get pushed into these bad habits.
Yeah, and I think that there's a difference as well between doing it for short term, so like 1 week, because you really have to deliver. I don't see an issue in that. I think it's a bit healthy, kind of knowing that you can push yourself and being able to do it. But if it's the norm, if it's month in, month out, year in, year out, like even your cognitive ability decreases.
Absolutely.
Like my brain now, compared to a year ago, it's like 100% faster.
Yeah.
Like if when I talk to my family members, they were like, yeah, you even spoke. When I was speaking, I would speak slower.
Yeah.
And which was also why they kind of called me out on it in the end.
But also your ability to make, decisions, analyze things, goes up tremendously with
exactly.
With investment into sleep. So you might say, okay, I'm losing a little in terms of that, but actually you're gaining, your productivity.
Yeah.
I think it was Bill Clinton who said, the worst decision he ever made were made because of lack of sleep.
I can believe that.
And it's very, it's just a very powerful statement that we make so many mistakes. And if you track them back, you can actually see that we make them because, the lack of sleep, lack of energy.
Lack of energy, your cognitive ability goes down. It's it's a taboo. I think that not a lot of people or not enough people speak about in our industry. You know, and
And it is a big problem because let's say you're working for a partner, you roll off a project, a program.
yeah,
You've been there full time, working more than full time for 2 years.
yeah,
Then in a lot of companies, you're expected to start up directly. So there's no what I'm saying is there's no time for recovery. There's no time,
no,
and that's why you see a lot of people calling in sick,
yeah,
reducing their hours dramatically, even quitting,
yeah,
because it's the expectation that on Monday they start a new project.
yeah. So if you had to kind of sum up, like what are your non-negotiables in your life now that you've experienced all of that in order to keep some kind of balance?
What I would say, the whole, the whole situation has taught me, to know, I know myself much better now. So I have, whenever I go into a new engagement, I set boundaries.
Okay, so yes, you said the boundaries up front.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I guess that gives which means that you're setting the expectation as well with the client and the working relationship there.
yes. And then if I see what you described earlier, which is really interesting about the multiple roles, I try to bring in additional resources.
Yeah,
So I will never combine, let's say, a solution architect and a project manager, program manager. Say no, we need that to separate into two roles. So
yeah,
so setting boundaries with yourself,
yeah,
with the client, with the team, has taught me, to be just more,
yeah. I guess protective of the personal spheres, so people can have somewhat of a balance.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Prioritize my health,
yeah,
my sleep,
yeah,
being social,
yeah,
having time to do other activities,
yeah.
volunteer work, meeting other people, travel.
Yeah.
I think we can all.
And I think also realizing that when you set those boundaries to protect yourself, your interest, your life, that actually that's respected by your team and the client or the organization you work in. Because obviously they understand that you need to be with your wife, your kids, or do your volunteer work. If they don't, then then run away. It's because that's just toxic, and it will lead to a personal burnout. That, I mean, no one's gonna come to you afterwards and pat you on the back and say, "Well done," after you burned out.
Exactly.
Yeah. You just
Ask yourself, is this project, is this so important that yet you want to jeopardize, your health on it?
Yeah.
I think that's a question you should always ask yourself.
Yeah.
Are you so hungry for that income that you potentially end up, damaging yourself?
What would it mean if you cut out a day of your work week?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing I do now is I try to protect my Fridays. Not always successful, but it means my Fridays are never super busy. So I kind of get that additional time to just wind down.
It's a good way for people like ourselves to have time to do admin work, networking, podcasts like this one.
Exactly. And then if you don't have that, then you just have spare capacity to do other interests. Be with your friends and family.
Absolutely.
Go for a lunch. Just take your time to do something and be present.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I think that was a good little roundabout across the subject of personal burnout. I know you have a lot more stories around it, and I definitely have as well. Yeah,
It's a topic we can revisit, and we can.
And we will from a kind of a team and organizational level.
Yeah.
But both of us felt obviously that we needed, but we wanted to share our story kind of before we jump into those episodes.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.